Good morning. I'm back. Took yesterday off because my husband and I went out and played 9 holes of golf. Left the house at 6 o'clock. I didn't have time to do the show. Tomorrow I'm not going to do the show too because we're waking up at Isleta. Tonight we're going to see the Gypsy Kings and it's our 24th wedding anniversary. Woohoo! So that's enough about who I am. The show is Who Am I? And it's a whole different thing because the show I try to do from a more generic standpoint, not ego-based, not specifically me-based, although generally me-based. So who am I? Who am I? That's the show. Who am I as a powerful creator? Who am I as a human being vehicle? Who am I as the matrix itself? Who am I as the wholeness that we are? Who am I? Who am I? How does this work? How do I get what I want? How do thoughts turn to things? What's this law of attraction everybody's talking about? What the heck is this? What's the meaning of my life? Where did I come from? Where am I going? Why am I here? What's the object of the exercise? What are my primary assumptions about the nature of reality? Did you know how much all of this stuff wildly affects how when you do the mathematics? Because you're doing math. Your operating system is a computer. It's just like a computer. And in a way it's infallible, but the way you set it up makes a difference. Because depending on what you think the object of the exercise is, what you've chosen as that, what you think that the operating ground rules are, all of that plays out in the mathematics of what makes sense for you to do what move next. You know? It all makes a difference. I'm telling you, if you think the object of the exercise is he who dies with the most toys wins, then you play the game one way. If you think the paradigm, the whole point of it is kill or be killed, and survival in this moment of my physical body is the only thing that matters, then you play the game another way. Actually, those two are not necessarily completely incompatible with one another. You might have both of those kind of rocking around in your head. But you know, the actual paradigm of a successful, sustainable future for mankind is not win-lose, it's win-win. Where's the win-win point? The place where we all win. Where I get to win and I don't have to see you, I don't have to put up with you losing for me to win. I don't want you to lose. When you lose, you start getting hot. And you become problematic to the world. I don't want my neighbors to lose. I want everybody to win. And when I gaze at somebody else winning, my heart does not have to turn green, with jealousy. I can root for everybody. I can say, yay! As a matter of fact, I'm not only rooting for everybody. When I watch, let's say I'm watching something like America's Got Talent. There's two ways you could look at this. You could sit there and watch it, and you could watch these people, amazing people doing amazing things. So beautiful, so strong, so talented, so breathtakingly glorious. And I could look at that and I could go, I could compare them to me and immediately cause my vibration to go ka-thunk. Or I can look at them and my heart can swell with joy as I go, oh my God, look how beautiful we are. Look how strong we are. Look how glorious we are. You know, it's how you look at it is everything. How you look at it is not only everything, how you look at it is you. And so as you look at the world, you are declaring every minute, this is who I am, this is who I am, this is who I am. And so who are you? Who are you? How are you looking at the world? You know? Do you see it kindly or do you see it... Well, you know, people may think that I have a Pollyanna kind of outlook because I sound so positive. I'm so positive. We're so wonderful. Ooh, you know, isn't she great? But the fact of the matter is that I have a very clear view of danger. And actually, I have a pretty good sense of what the dangers of this world are. And I'm going to tell you right now, the dangers of looking at the world from a dark perspective are too dangerous to be entertained. Yes, you who insist on looking at the world dangerously, darkly, it's not that you are incorrect about your observance of the darkness. It's just that the world is so dangerous that you'd better not fall into just unconsciously looking at it dangerously and darkly, because quite frankly, that's what activates it. The idea, what you have to learn how to do is train your focus down a positive path. So that's easier said than done. Everybody's all full of negative. You know, they're trained to be negative. Usually they had a lot of negative thrown at them when they were young, and it was all during their programming years. That was the first 7 years. If you heard negative stuff about yourself or others, you recorded it, and it's in your system now, in your iOS, as part of your operating system, as part of the software of your operating system. But it's a little more than software. It's a little deeper in there. It's almost like, I don't know, what would the analogy to that be? Because it is changeable. You can turn your negative to positive. You have to sort of blink out your imagining that the materiality of the world around you is what's primary, because it isn't. It is real, but it's a secondary effect, or at least from your perspective it is. The world that appears to you, for you to interact with, is a secondary effect of the frequency that you chose to transmit. You're a transmitter. You're primarily a transmitter in a way. From your action standpoint, you're a transmitter. You are also a receiver. The interesting thing, though, is that the channel that you choose to receive on is the one that you have, that you are, the channel that you've chosen to receive on is the one you're transmitting on. That's how you chose it. Interesting. You're a transmitter and a receiver. And the frequency that you're belching out on is what everything's coming back at you as. And the world is too dangerous to go negative, honestly. There's too much out there that you could resonate with that's darker. That's just dark. I don't know if it's darker. It's been plenty dark. Back from my parents' time. My parents lived in the time of Hitler, for crying out loud. You know, when Hitler was trying to take over the world. You know, this darkness, this dark philosophy brought into material reality in a really clear way. That the dark storm got very clear in what it thought the world was and what it thought it wanted and what it thought they were. You know, the old "who am I" question. What they thought about, I should do that. I should go in and look at my Nazi stuff again from the standpoint of trying to figure out how they had it worked out, what the philosophy was exactly. This is what we believe to be true about the world. This is who I am. This is who you are. There are better people and less. There's people who are better than others, and some who are not any good at all. And if we could get rid of all the ones who are no good, then all of us who are the masters, who are the best ones, the ones most worthy of carrying on and surviving, the smartest ones, the strongest ones, the best ones. We get rid of the defective ones. Defective for whatever reason I've decided that they are. They're defective because of their ideas about politics, or they're defective because of their genetics, you know, because of their ethnic heritage, because of their blah, da, 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 da. Maybe they're defective because they're defective. You know, they've got they've got autism, or they've got, you know, whatever. All of those, get rid of them, and then the race is stronger, and we'll follow this dear leader, and we'll build a nation that is so well designed that this will last 1,000 years. Well, he was wrong about so many things. It just isn't even funny. His primary assumptions, his object of the exercise, he thought that it was not only, you know, grit your teeth and gotta, you know, get down and do it because it's necessary. He thought it was like it was necessary in this moment. He thought it was like always necessary. He thought you had to be in constant conflict with the world around you, with the other people around you. That's what sorted out who was stronger from who was not so strong. It's funny too, because the actual architects of all the architects of that horrible what spirit do I want to imbue with these words? That horrible governing system of all of those people who had this idea of the master race and the, you know, genetics, the better genetics, and get rid of the worst ones, and, you know, blood and soil. That's actually a statement of hard physical reality, as opposed to mamby-pamby philosophical thinking. You know, they're talking the linkage of the line of materiality and the actual placement where we are, blood and soil. Anyway, ideas of what was that fake, well, it's not fake, pseudo is the word, pseudoscience of it's not genetic. Hold on a second, I gotta think of the word. Gosh, I can't remember. It's such an obvious word too. When it finally hits me, I'll circle back around and mention it. Oh, that's the word I was trying to reach for. That's the word. So who am I? After all this, you know, I've blathered and blathered. What are we talking about? We're talking about who I am in my allness, what's my whole self. And by the way, my whole self includes the whole universe. And by the way, yours does too. You are the whole universe, and I am the whole universe. And I have, as such, within my operating system, within my purview, I have to my access in whatever form I can absorb it, whatever form I link to it naturally and properly, and what comes to me in the right order. I have. I already said this. I was heading to somewhere else. I have access to all of the information from where I am in whatever manner is appropriate for me. And you do too. And miraculously somehow, and yet it's not a miracle, it's just matter of fact. But miraculously, we all fit together in a blessed, harmonious, beautiful song of cooperation, of just beingness. I don't believe that any of us should have to prove anything to justify the fact that we are here, and we should love ourselves and we should love each other. And you know what? I just start there. And I start with it in philosophy. And right now, kind of with this show, it's sort of tagging me into this whole thing in reality. It's tagging all of these thoughts that I have had in my head, making them reality by making me sit here and say them out loud. Now, I don't know how I'm going to love everyone, and me loving everyone doesn't look like what everybody else looks like loving everyone. It's to each his own, and to each his what's appropriate, and everyone gives what they have to give, and they don't have to give something that they don't have to give. You should be your authentic self, and from that position you should be happy, not sacrificing yourself for the whole. We don't want you to sacrifice for the whole. We want you to be yourself for the joyous whole. You know, you don't have to sacrifice yourself upon the burning altar of, you know, the grim, dark heart of, reality. We want to be our authentic selves for the joyous dance, the symphony that is reality. You know, isn't that much more fun? We need to recreate the abundance. I don't need to be, throwing myself on the pyre. Throwing myself. Oh my gosh, that's a weird. That was a Freudian slip. Be yourself. Find your joy. Find your bliss. To sacrifice yourself for the group is almost to scan the horizon for the darkness and then go. You don't have to, in order for you to love your fellow human beings. Now, it's wonderful that there are people out there working in the soup kitchens, and, Mother Teresa working in the streets of Bombay, unless it was New Delhi. I can't remember which city she was in. All of that's wonderful. The Albert Schweitzers of the world are blessed. The Father Browns, actually, I guess that's a different thing. He solves crimes. But everybody has their part to play, whatever part that is. And you should throw yourself into wherever you are with joy and be kind in your heart at first. At first, let it just be in your heart to be kind to your fellow human beings. You don't have to go out and pass out blankets on the street day one. You can wait. You don't have to act right away. You can wait until your heart gives you the right impulse of what it is right for you to do as you soften up. Just soften up at first. You don't have to do anything else. It used to stop me from doing anything at all, from having any way to interact with this. My church, taught me certain things, and then there were certain ideas about tithing, that you had to give away your worldly goods. And yes, in the end, actually, I don't think we're going to end up having to give away our worldly goods. I don't think we have to give our goods away to one another. I don't really have that many goods. I'm not a billionaire or anything like that. We're probably a millionaire or two if you count all of our property. Our property here in this area of town, even though it's only an acre and the house ain't that fancy, if you add the 401k and the house and everything, we're talking less than a little, more than a little, but we're not rich. And we're retired too, so it's like the packet that we need to live on until I die, which I hope it's 40 years from now. And then there'll be, a couple 100,000 to pass on to the children. It's that kind of abundance. So I don't feel like I have to give all my stuff away. There's people out there with $100 billion. They can, if somebody needs to spread some of this currency around, but it isn't actually going to help it to redistribute the goods. I mean, it'll help for a minute, but at the very same time that if we have a government system that's trying to redistribute any of the wealth somehow by shifting the rules is actually what is legitimate for the government to redistribute the wealth by changing the rules, because it's the rules right now that are making it possible and even likely for some individuals to mass to themselves really, really large power, say so. But the answer to all of this, because I don't really want to get into whether or not you should have billionaires and what the rules on the ground should be and stuff, because there's things to be said about that. The rules of the game at the government level should be more egalitarian. However, egalitarian in the sense that all should be supported to a point. To a subsistence level point, there should be a ground under all human beings. And then what they want to make beyond that, what they want to create of the world, the rules should be, malleable. Not malleable. The rules are not malleable. The rules should allow for mobility within the system. I'm getting into an area, though, that I don't really like to talk about. I can talk about, but I don't like to go into the areas where I get into a place where I'm specifically saying we should do X, Y, or Z. I don't like to. That's not my purview. I like to stay in the place where I'm saying, hey, this is who we are. This is how we should line up, because this is what the matrix is. This is what our equipment looks like. This is what the allness of it, the holographic nature, the black hole structure, the quantum vacuum fluctuations, the let's see, the spinning space-time, the fullness, the zero-point energy field, the vibrational nature of everything, my vibrational higher self, which from So from my allness perspective, it's my vibrational higher self. It's the me that is the bigger me. From my smaller perspective, from my body's perspective looking out, my inner being looks like my vibrational cosmic anatomy. It looks like part of the system that I use to suss out the actual physical realm around me. I use this vibrational self. This vibrational self is in touch with everything, is touching everything, is knowing everything, has all the vibrational information of all the field around me without any resistance, caused by, the resistance. So what the world around you is. So imagine the 0 point energy field, all of these Plancks touching one another, roiling with one another, exchanging their information vibrationally, reverberating across the cosmos, transferring holographically all the information of all the universe back and forth across all the scales. That's the source of all the energy. It's all the Plancks, this Planck plasma, this liquid dynamic of the universe. That's what it is. And when it goes into coherence, into coordinated spin, when it goes into spin, so it's either roiling or it's spinning. When it's spinning, then it looks like the physical universe. It looks like atoms. It looks like protons of vortex. A little proton is a vortex of this ether, this Planck ether spinning. So you got this whole thing, it's all the same thing, it's this 0 point energy field. Imagine it at rest. When it's at rest, it's roiling. That's the first time I've used that word, and I really like that word. You can feel it, the roiling nature of the Planck field. At its resting state, it is highly energetic. That's the fabric of the universe. Imagine that. And when gradient densities in the field cause it to spin, that's what we call the physical universe. That's the only difference between what's physical and what's not physical, or what's like space and not space. That's the only difference, is that over here where we call it matter, it's because the Planck field has gone into spin. And it spins at different frequencies. And that's what we call the different elements. And it's spinning at different frequencies. So as you are moving through your physical world, the things that are coming at you, they're spinning into your experience, and then they spin away from it. Everything's spinning at a different rate. Slightly different rate. The sun, the moon, the earth, all the planets, the asteroids, and everything on the planet. That's, you driving down the road, and the wind, blowing past you, and the blood flowing through your body, and the people running in and out of it. You're looking at it one way, and it causes a kind of stability in your view. But what's actually happening is everything is spinning. Everything is spinning. There's nothing but spin. There's nothing but this Planck field spinning. And you are the Planck field. So if you would imagine, when you get down to your identity from the deepest level, there is nothing that can hurt you ultimately. Even death. I have heard this. I love this. I'm not sure who I heard it from first. I think I've heard Ram Dass say it. I've heard it before. Even death is safe. It's safe. You're safe. We're safe. We are the field. We are all in this together. It's all fine. Where the problems all arise, where we have resistance to one another and to this life experience and to the contrast itself, it's actually all fine if you would interpret it positively. If you would give it a positive interpretation, you would derive a positive benefit from it. Just use your imagination. Make it up. Fit it into the story somehow. The story of your life and the story of our lives is so malleable. You can put whatever slant on it that you want. You can put a Norman Rockwell kind of, color to it, or you can put a Dean Koontz, slant on it, or somewhere in between, something like what would be in between those two? Hold on. Tim Burton was the name I was trying to come up with. But actually, I'm not sure. He's almost the Norman Rockwell spirit of spooky. So he turns to the... Anyway. How are you going to tell your story? How are you going to tell our story? Who are we? Where did we come from? Actually, I have found out some things recently that make our story really interesting. All of a sudden, the universe went from bland and flat and hopeless and already known, been there, done that, yawn city, no God, no mystery, science has got it all figured out, to, oh my gosh, is that what we're dealing with? How interesting. And not only that, extraterrestrials are probably real. I mean, they almost surely are real. They have to be real. I myself claim all the time that you can see in our genetic sequencing, you can see a place where it looks like human chromosome number 2 is a genetic modification. It's a fusion. Somebody took two lesser an ape, more of an ape-like creature, and fused a couple of their chromosomes together, bound them together, clipped away redundancies on both sides. It's fused at the telomere, and the result is our neocortex plumps up. All of a sudden, you have an overview. You have an ability. Now, not everybody does it. And there's still a lot of people are like deeply engrossed in their immediate moment. And of course they would be, because one of the rules of the universe is everything's here and now. And so, why am I not so... since everything's here and now, why am I not completely focused right where my physical body is, with this desk in front of me and all of it? Because actually the here and now that is here and now is bigger than just where I am. It involves a whole lot of moving parts. And these parts have been moving for a while, and I've been moving within these moving parts for a while. There's projects underway. It's like we're in the middle of a movie. Imagine it that way. So it's like I do want to be completely involved in my now. But I also want to understand where we are in this movie. Because if you just look at current events, it's like you're just looking at a snapshot in the middle of a movie. You don't know what happened at the beginning of the movie, and what's the point of the movie, and where it's headed. And actually, where it's headed, okay, fine. But where it's been is important to know. What have we been doing? What have we been up to? What's the object of our exercise? I think the object of our exercise, and that's why I do the show, I mean, I didn't do this intentionally. I didn't set out to say, well, this is the object of the exercise. And so what do I need to do to further this I'll do this show and I'll call it Who Am I? I think the object of the exercise has always been we're trying to figure out who the F we are and how this works. How can we get what we want? What do we want? I think we want peace. I think we want abundance, beauty, joy, fun, comfort, sustainability, efficiency, creativity. I mean, I could get more specific than all of that, but that covers it, right? Isn't that what we all want? I want that. I don't know anybody who doesn't want all of those things I just said. They want abundance and comfort and beauty and joy and fun. And you know what? We've been born into a universe that is capable of giving that to us. We just have to understand our own equipment that we have been, however you want to look at it, that we've coalesced into, that we've been granted, that, whatever. These vehicles that we're driving operate in a particular way. And the field around us operates in a particular way. And that's another reason why I think we were genetically modified, because it's like our emotions sing to the field. Especially our positive ones. Our positive ones sing to the field in a song of beautiful, blessed coherence. As a great organizing force, grinds into motion, as your clear desire comes into view, the cooperative components all around you have been coalescing forever. And they're coalescing for all of us, all of these cooperative components. They're so cool. It's so cool. Everyone has a voice right now in such an incredible way. And depending on how you want to use your voice, I'm up on a YouTube channel that was, I have YouTube Premium because I listen to a lot of YouTube and I don't have to put up with commercials. And it's probably my most important streaming platform. Everybody has their own things that they've selected. Amazon or Netflix or Hulu or, whatever. And then there's the free ones, Freebie and whatever. I do YouTube, so I'm up basically, but my YouTube studio with my YouTube's basically free, or it's so cheap. I would still have my YouTube studio even if I didn't have my premium. That means that I don't have to deal with commercials, I think. But it doesn't cost very much. What is it, $17 a month? It's nothing. And then my OBS studio is free. At least I don't think it cost me anything. My daughter set it up for me. And it's wonderful. And so I do these recordings, and I have this voice. And from what I understand, the state of AI and user-friendly, self-driven tools to allow any human being to just, conjure whatever and say whatever they want to using tools that make it look real and make it sound real and whatever. It's getting to the point where we all have absolutely breathtaking cooperative components to whatever our desire to express is. I do this thing. There's other people doing all kinds of things out there. They're doing how-tos about stuff, teaching people things that they know. They're traveling around the world doing podcasts, I'm in Lisbon today, or I'm here in beautiful Christchurch, New Zealand, or, whatever. Whatever. We are all so beautiful and so wonderful. And have you noticed that we're all kind of a collection? We're actually a single morphogenetic field of data and information. And as such, we would be well served to quit trying to screw one another. And instead of anybody, we all should be taught from birth that it's a win-win paradigm, not a win-lose. It just all depends on how you look at it and how you work the damn thing. It's not a finite pie. It is an expanding pie when we understand how it works. When we don't understand how it works, it appears to be a shrinking pie. And one of the reasons that the pie is shrinking, and the old sixth mass extinction thing, which is one of my litany of woes that I always, spend about 60 seconds doing. I have to be really careful because I don't want to get into a negative jag here. But one of those litany of woes is the sixth mass extinction. That's an expression of shrinkage, not expandage. We all can tell that that's a problem. That is not the direction it should be going. You can take a volcanic wasteland and give it time, and it will expand from nothingness to, the abundance that is Tahiti. Or Tafiti, if we want to go Moana. That's what happens naturally. Now, what the hell is this shrinkage going on? It has to do with human beings not knowing who we are. And I think that's the object of our exercise. I think that's the whole meaning of history. I think it's the whole meaning of the frickin' paper trail that follows all of our behavior, especially our criminal behavior, which is an expression of our out of alignment behavior. The more out of alignment that we are upon the face of our of the earth and upon the fabric of our lives, the more out of alignment that we are, the deeper the scar we leave on the landscape behind us as a clue, as a trail, as a clue for us to realize who we are, to figure out what we're doing. We keep track of this so that we can layer the experiences over one another and start recognizing the patterns and look at how we have wonderful teachers these days. There is so much wisdom around, so many teachers, so much truth from every direction. We've had, some of them have been doing their thing for 35 years, 40 years, 50 years. The Eckhart Tolles of the world, the Esther Hicks, the Daryl Ankas, all the people over on Gaia. I mean, you can't dismiss all this stuff as New Age woo-woo anymore. Oh, it's just New Age woo-woo. It's coming out of the woodwork from so many different directions, and you can just see the commonality. What's the common spirit here? Well, the common spirit that really matters is things like we're all in this together. This understanding of the matrix helps us all to understand that literally, physically, and mathematically, holographically, we are all matrixed into this damn thing together. We are all in this together. And that's wonderful, wonderful news. So quit trying to be so whatever, because you can't get away from yourself, and we can't get away from each other. Now, I personally don't choose to spend lots and lots and lots and lots of time with any particular individual out there, because most of the people that I know do not understand who we are and the powerful, powerful nature of all of this. I want to start cohering in a pattern that involves people understanding this at a really deep level. And I want to do it on my terms because I want to spend the rest of my life teaching this. I love to think this way. I love to see, this is my contribution, and I realize this now. I have spent my life not as a joiner, and not as a participator, and not really as much of a give-backer. But I have felt the pain of my people in their search for sustainability, in their search for peace on earth, goodwill towards men, in their search for, and then I watch my own millennial children struggling in a paradigm of economic lack out there. Lack in a way, but there's so much money out there. When you can attract it your direction. You don't have to be doing it from there is a paradigm of lack out there, though. And one of the reasons that there is because of our energy system. When we begin finally to allow more energy to be injected into the system. Now, one of the problems, and they should have allowed it a long time ago because it's going to be a bit of a problem now, as when it becomes known that over-unity devices are possible, that means you can kind of, to all intents and purposes, you can get energy out of nothing. Although it's not nothing, you can divide. It is possible to have a device that puts out more energy than we have to put into it. That's actually the way to put it. It's a device that puts out more energy than we have to put into it to make it run. We have been taught that is an impossibility, that flies against the laws of physics somehow, but it doesn't. It does not fly against the laws of physics, and the new physics that understands the holographic nature, that understands the zero-point energy field, the vacuum fluctuations, the Planck oscillators, the black hole structure, the spinning space-time, all of that, the mathematics that can look at the mass of the universe and extrapolate from that the exact radius of a proton. That's how the mathematics has unified quantum and cosmological physics. You can look at the mass of the universe and extrapolate from that the exact radius of a proton, and vice versa. Actually, there is a mathematical scalar relationship between the two, which tends to make you think that our universe is probably a proton from another universe, that came from another universe of a much, I have to say much a lot of times, much higher density universe, flung off this proton through Hawking radiation, and it kaboomed in this space. We call it the Big Bang, and we thought it was unique, but it's absolutely not unique. It's just what universes do because they're black holes, and Hawking radiation is a thing, and they are in different densities. There's different densities. There's really, really dense, and it gets much, much denser. And then it gets much, much, much lighter. And all of it's connected. So who am I in all of this? And what does all of this mean to me? Well, it means, first of all, that who I really am and who everyone really is, just take your eyes off of them physically for a minute. Take your eyes off of because the physical world isn't primary. And yet we look at it as though it's primary. The vibration is primary. See the vibration primary. How do you do that? How do you see a vibration? Well, it's a mind's eye thing. It's in your consciousness. It's inside of you. Close your eyes and see the whole thing. It's that kind of place. Feel it. The spirits, the vibrations of things, they really matter. They really, really matter. The spirit of something is the reason that Germany turned so dark during the Nazi period, during the Third Reich, is because the spirit changed. And whoever that guy was that wrote about that, he was talking about, he was writing about what it looked like to live through that time period. That at some point you look around and you realize that all the forms still look the same, but something undefinable has changed underneath it all. It was the spirit of it that changed. It's the frequency of it. Because if you really want to understand the universe and yourself, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And not just energy, frequency. Think in terms of spin. Add spin to that. Energy, frequency, vibration, and spin. Now turn and look at the world and go, oh, got it. That's who I am. Who am I? So what does that mean to my life? Well, it means that your negative self isn't you, but it's a shadow you. When you allow your negative self to drive your HBV and walk this world, you create demons. We just do. And they aren't supernatural, and they aren't, it's just an energy. It's a kind of energy it's a chaotic energy that is designed to circle back around what we just built and knock it down. Because what we just built was not in alignment with who we are and the structures that we really need to be in place to operate this super organism that we are across this planet, The chaotic energy comes up in balance to however strong the negative force, the negative self that you were as you drove your vehicle in your negative state. When you do that, there's a opposite force that's born. It's actually not an opposite force because, maybe I shouldn't go here. I haven't really thought this stuff through. I'm just getting it raw and fresh and, thinking I'm going to stream of consciousness it directly to you. Who am I? And how? So, what do we do with the negative self? Don't blame yourself for going negative. As a matter of fact, love yourself. Be so kind. Be so kind to yourself about your negativity. The worst thing you can do is to beat yourself up for going negative because you realize, that negative self is not me and I've gone negative. That means, I've done it again. What a bad person I am. Kick, kick, kick. Don't do that. Don't do that. You are designed to go negative. It's just like the rumble strip on the side of the road that is just there to say, don't, this isn't you, You're heading into the weeds. You're going off into the darkness and you're going to leave your inner being behind. And do you know why it looks so very, very, very dark out there in the darkness that you're about ready to go to? Because you're leaving God behind. I almost never say that word. I don't like to use the G word because people have it already predefined as something that is probably not what I'm talking about. Although when I use the word, so there's different ways I talk about it. In one sense, I use a word that is commonly used to denote or connote the D word, the G word, the D word, the G word, and that is the word the Almighty. The Almighty. Because that's the allness. That's the holographic thing that we all have in common. I have the universe in common with you. I have, it's like I get the whole Lego set and I play it from my position on the grid. And you have the whole Lego set, but it's a slightly different set of information because you're getting it from where you are on the grid. And so it's coming to you in a different order. But you have the same set of information that I have. It's just coming to you at a different order. And so what is your job? Just to get yourself in order with the rest of the field around you, the coherent rest of the field. There's two storms going on. One is one of coherence and the other one is one of chaos. Oh, so interesting. I think that order, in the physical world, those two both play out. In the spiritual world, I think it's all order. Although you can go in your physical self, you can go into places in your mind without your inner being. I don't know what that implies. Especially since it's all mental. I don't know. I believe that the ground being, the baseline ground of all being is love and all-togetherness and goodness and it's all right. It's all right. That's what I believe. And if you focus that direction, the universe will certainly support that belief. Now, if you decide that the world is utter, in your physical body, in your physical life, in this time, if you believe in utter darkness, I'm not sure. I know that the universe will support you in that to a certain extent. In your mind, you can go all kinds of dark places, and that abyss that you can go into, that rat hole that momentum of darkness that you can. I always say that the rat holes are bottomless. There is no bottom to that, so don't go there. In your physical mind, you can reach a darkness so dark that you might be like the mother of 5 children who drowns them all to save them from this horrible, horrible, horrible world. You know? Because her darkness in her mind has caused her to draw the conclusion that the world is a horrible, dark place and she needs to save her children from the suffering and misery of it, when that's not it at all. That's not it at all. But she went there. The reason she got to that place is because the rat holes are all bottomless. The rat holes of dark, negative thought have no end. In your thought, you can just go into a place where your imagination will bring you to your knees and bring you to horrible things. I think that actually a lot of this was Hitler's problem. He went negative, locked into it, and then got very, very clear in his negative view. There is a negative clarity. There is a negative synchronicity of an order to the chaos, if you will. Just like there's an organization at the center of a hurricane, You know, there's organization in that vast storm of destruction, you know. But in our consciousnesses, we are looking for the organization, of coherence rather than chaos. We would like to join the daimonic energy and not allow our daimonic energy to twiddle into demonic energy. Paul Levy would say, he talks about this daimonic energy that you get in supply every day because you're alive. It's your source energy. You get it. We are all extensions of source energy. And this energy is coming at us, this restless desire to do things because we're alive. Let's face it, that's what life's all about. And if you do something with it, creatively and constructively and, expansively, if you follow your bliss, if you move that way, then yay, it's daimonic energy, it's creative, constructive energy. But if you don't do anything with it, it sits there. And then in its boredom, it starts to become chaotic. It's the idle, it becomes more Loki energy, more Shiva energy, more demonic energy. Its idle hands are the devil's workshop kind of energy. So you got to do something with your allotment. You are expanding. Go with it. If you don't go with it, if you keep clinging to who you were instead of becoming more of who you are, well, let's see. What do I want to say about what happens when you do that? And what does it mean to say that you've done that? It has to do with attaching to the forms and not recognizing that you are a spirit, not a form. You are the formless. You are the quantum field itself. You are Planck's, forming with intention into whatever it is that you desire. And who are you? You are desire itself. Come into a physical form to become the shape of your desire. And what is your desire? I've already laid it out. It's joy and beauty and abundance and comfort and fun and relationship. And so what's your job in your physical body? You have to decide what that means. What does it mean in this physical world? How do I find joy? Well, for me, the journey has brought me to this place where I can't stop asking the question, who am I? I think it's the key to everything, and I think it's the key for all of us. And ultimately, it's going to bring us practically. So I've been talking philosophically and spiritually for the first hour. For the most part, I threw a little bit of stuff in. But the practical side of this is going to be, we're going to get off of fossil fuels, and we're not going to get on something stupid like clean fusion or something, which is what most people, they put that in the back of their mind. Oh yeah, clean fusion, it's on the way. I don't have to worry about it. Something will happen, and technology is going to save us. Well, technology is going to save us, but it's not just technology. It's our actual understanding, our true, deep understanding of the nature of our universe, and by osmosis, or by extension is probably a better word, our understanding of ourselves. And it will become very, very clear immediately that the idea of bombing anybody to solve our problems is stupid. There is enough of everything, everywhere, for everyone, but we got to start working the system better. We got to start creating more abundance instead of slashing and burning the abundance. The ecosystems that remain on planet Earth at the moment should be cherished immediately. Now, you can start cherishing them by, beating up on people who hurt the ecosystem, but, that's not going to work either. What people need is an influx of energy. And we need a reason that we can leave the damn tar sands and oil fields and undersea oil drilling the F alone. I would like to see my millennial children living in a paradigm of way more currency. There should be way more energy, way more currency in the field, energizing the system. Every human being who has a great idea about what they want to do or how they want to do it, well, this is where the consciousness needs to rise. Because if you tomorrow hand free, clean energy to every single human being on the planet, if you did it that quick, a whole hell of a lot of them would still be using that energy, operating on an us versus them paradigm, and we cannot have that. We have to get to a place where we realize that there is no us and them. That it's all us, all us, all us. And the paradigm is not win-lose, it's win-win. Win-win-win-win-win-win-win. And so stretch your imagination that way. If you've got it all worked out, your desires, this is what I want. And I believe I'm swimming in a us versus them paradigm, in a win-lose paradigm, then now I'm struggling with the rules in a way that they don't operate. The rules of the game, I pull them from a lot of places. I like Abraham's Steps of Creation. I like Bashar's Laws of the Universe. He has a 1, 3, 5, 7, 11 thing. I like his 5 and 7. Love that. Don't really know the 11. The 1 and the 3 I talk about in my own way all the time. The 5 is the 5 laws of the universe. Number 1, you exist. And now that you exist, you can't not exist. You will always exist. You will I think of it as, from my mind's eye, close my eyes, make the physical world go away in front of me. From my mind's eye perspective, I have a front row seat to the parade for eternity. That's number 1. Number 2, everything is here and now. The wholeness, the allness is with you right here and now. And right with everybody here and now all the time. It's holographic. And speaking of holographic, the all are one and the one is all. Or the one is all and the all are one. Whichever way you want to look at that. That's another rule. You can't get away from that. There's nothing you can do to change that. We are all matrixed together. Literally. Number 4, this is the only actionable rule of the 5. What you put out is what you get back. And we're talking frequencies. We're talking spirits. In a way, we're talking about emotions. Your emotions are like a band of spirit vibrational frequency. And if you operate in the negative ones, you're going to get negative back from the world. Then the world is going to be a hard, rough, suffering, painful place for you. But if you will open your heart and recognize that, and you know what? I used to have a hard time doing that because I'm such a freaking softie. I am so soft that well, when you understand the things that like really set me off are things like drowning polar bears and, the plight of cute, furry, cuddly, small animals really gets me. Drowning polar bears, orphan elephants, Korean food dogs, tortured Korean food dogs. When I started recognizing how harsh the world really was, it became hard for me to let it all in. I started fending it off and couldn't look at it. And the only way I can look at it now is that I recognize what that is, that it's actually misalignment. There's not anything actually wrong, and I can't fix somebody else. I have autonomous control over my individuated spin, and that's it. And it's all attraction, it's not assertion. And I can't go forth and fix everybody and their suffering position from my being upset about it anyway. Because when I operate from being upset, even when I'm upset about something that I should be upset about because it's very upsetting, war is very upsetting, murder is very upsetting, rape is very upsetting, ecocide, all of these things, so very upsetting. But if you try to fix them from a state of being from within yourself where you are in a negative state, you can't fix it. How many times have I tried from my neutral, relaxed position, tried to go into motion from a state of being outraged by either vivisection or... What things have I been outraged about? I was outraged about or just politics. I joined the political structure 8 years ago because I got all frightened about what might happen to us because I could feel and sense and see certain similar patterns re-emerging. And I'm like, oh no. And so I joined a political party and I joined the resistance. And I noticed the funniest thing. This guy who people shouldn't have been taking seriously because he's just a bundle of, not self-contradicted word salad, But it tells you the power of a human being who does not cross their own energy stream. I mean, he crosses it for other people. I mean, he does it from an outward sense, but boy, he does not doubt himself. And the resistance that we gave him sort of energized him. And then I met Paul Levy's work somewhere in that first administration there. And when he started talking about Wetiko and the polarity in the quantum field being the issue, I recognized, it's the polarity. The polarity is our enemy. Our tendency to us and them each other. To I'm all right and you're all wrong. Our tendency to do that is the enemy. You are not my enemy. My propensity to otherize you and your propensity to otherize me is the demon. And that's the enemy. Excuse me, I gotta go cough for a second. So, how do I think... I still have a cough. Sorry, maybe I should have taken a drink of water. Hold on. So the question is, in my mind, I guess, how are we going to solve this? How are we going to solve this conundrum? Because I see many negative things in the world, and how do I solve those negative things from a place where I see the world as golden and delightful and all the possibilities imaginable laying at our feet in front of us? We're so cool. We're so cool and we're so amazing if we would get together in our collective consciousness. Now, I know that there's a lot of talk about, uniting and this and that, but you got to be careful where and how and in what spirit you unite. Very, very, very important what spirit we unite in and what spirit we refuse to unite in. I refuse to unite with my fellow human beings around me in outrage and anger pointed at any object. I don't know if there's any safe concept that you could channel your negative self at, and that would be safe. It certainly is not okay to otherize each other. To demonize one another. I kind of like seeing polarity as the enemy. Polarity in the quantum field, because we are a field phenomenon. Because of the way the whole thing is designed, you can't be separate from the scene around you. But the scene around you is so much bigger than just just where your body is and what you are physically in touch with. And it includes all of us, and we've been doing this for a long time, and we've been recording it for a long time. And I think the reason that we do that is because we need to know who we are. And it always seems, I was started to say this earlier, that wherever we go off the rails, the hardest is where we leave a Now, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but where we go off the rails is currently where we leave the hardest paper trail. We record everything that happens. It all gets recorded in everything from the arrest and the indictment and the discoveries between the lawyers and the district attorney, the government side of the whole thing, and and then the verdict. As we try to get to the bottom of what happened here in this. The harder we are off the rails, the more we intensely scrutinize the situation. And there's a reason for that. Because we need to know who we are. We need to find our way to sustainability. We need to understand source energy. Because we are source energy. We are extensions of source energy. It's all source energy. There's nothing but source energy around you. And what is it? It's this Planck field. And when it organizes, when it goes into spin, we call it the material world. Anyway, so I have this slide. This one, do you know how a conventional hologram is made? Now, so when I talk about the universe being holographic, it's the structure of the universe that makes it holographic. We are not a holographic projection coming from some other where. That's not what we're doing. It is the nature of the universe to exchange information through a reverberating system. So this is how a conventional hologram is, and you're going to understand this. You see up here in the upper right, there's that thing that's shooting out a laser beam of some sort. It looks kind of like a lightsaber. It's shooting out a laser beam, and it hits this first plate and splits that beam. That beam goes to the left, hits another plate, and then meets over here. Now, go back to the split where it goes to the right, hits a mirror, then it's deflected to an object, scans an object, and then that information is sent to the plate to meet up with the other one. Now, what happens when those two beams meet, there is an interference pattern that is created as those two beams hit one another. It is in the interference pattern. That's where the holographic magic happens. That's how come all of it is in every bit of it. It's all in the interference pattern. And what's happening in the Planck field across all the multiverses is that these Plancks at the 0 point energy field, this roiling sea of Plancks, are touching one another and reverberating. They're like all of them interacting with all of them all the time. Now. All of them, the cosmic jiggle of space-time is creating this holographic effect, which literally is giving every point, everywhere, all the energy and all the information. So you don't have to be any particular where. You don't have to be in a first world country with all the wires and all the whatever. You could be in the middle of deepest West Africa, the jungles of the Congo. You know, no human being or bit of technology in sight. And all of the information and all of the energy of all of the universe is right there too. It's everywhere. And we can build our technologies so that they tap directly into that. You don't have to have a secondary freaking power source, you know, that you go dig up and refine and then, you know, transfer into electricity and then you plug your stuff into the wall. That's so 20th century. That's actually so early 20th century. It could have been way different by the end of that century if we didn't have such a tendency to fix on the material and lock it into shape right where we shouldn't have started. We shouldn't be building hard infrastructures so furiously. And so I'm actually not going to be with the... I don't want our two parties to get together and order any big $1 trillion infrastructure bill to build old infrastructure. It's going to be things like refineries and pipelines and hard roads for vehicles that don't understand gravity, and it's going to have to do with, it's going to be infrastructure of electric cars, but we don't want that either. We want cars that run off source energy that can fly in the air. And I know that I sound, that right there makes me sound like a quack. But I promise you that this is possible. This is where the 21st and 22nd centuries are going. This is our Star Trek future. And furthermore, a better understanding of this Planck universe that this divine ether that the whole universe is made of, and the law of attraction and all the laws of the universe will help us understand. It's like a 3D printer. We can manufacture items directly out of the quantum field, just like they do in Star Trek. The replicators, their replicator technology, that's what that is. I believe it's actually possible. But in order to get there, we've got to understand who we really are. We are a connected being with the whole universe. When we go out into the universe to become an intergalactic being, it's not going to be a replay of the wars and skirmishes and territorial fights that we experience here on Earth. That's what Star Trek imagines, but I don't actually think that's what it is. You don't get your ticket to the outside, to the greater field, until you have a better understanding of the connected nature of this field. And I think that the being human part about this is the the nature of our emotions connect us to the data of the whole universe if we would understand how to read them, how to read our emotions, how our sixth sense, our intuition, our guiding force, our oversoul, our greater being, our inner being is telling us all the time her opinion about, because she's thinking about stuff. She's thinking big thoughts. She's thinking eager, interested project thoughts too, probably. She knows who you are. She knows what you're dealing with in this world. She knows that you're on the leading edge, which means you're the one who has to live in the physical body and take the impact of the negative emotion when it comes. You're the one that has to do that, and she knows that. And she's very grateful to you for that. And she loves you for that, and she doesn't want you to be beating yourself up for your own negative emotion. You're designed for that. Your human being vehicle is designed to feel negative emotion, and when you feel it, you should recognize it as not me. This angry self, that's not me. I'm the playful one. I'm the fun one, the interested one. I'm the hopeful one, the one with great ideas, the one... There is someone inside of you who is that, separate from the physical world, separate from the conditions, who is that way, who is that person just 'cause. You are the positive self. The negative self that you can experience is a function of your equipment. It's a function of the human being vehicle that you have been bequeathed by your ancestors, or by the extraterrestrials that did the genetic modification in the first place. Whoever bequeathed us this vehicle. We are designed to go into the negative, but when we do, we're supposed to recognize that uncomfortable feeling is uncomfortable because it doesn't resonate with who you really are. It's a function of your equipment. It's not really you. The dark one doesn't really exist. The darkness that you imagine as so evil is more a kind of indifference brought about by lack of awareness. And what cures that is awareness. Bringing light into the darkness, kind of thing. I believe that our better understanding of who we are is going to lead us to being off of fossil fuels. Someday they will trust us with all the clean, free energy that we can use. Every single one of us has the capability of having all the clean, free energy that you can use. Now, you're going to have to do something with it. You're going to have to grow a tree that'll give you peaches, or you're going to have to contribute some way, some kind of wisdom to the wholeness of the system so that it can grow all the food that all of us need, so that it can create all of the clothing and building supplies that all of us need, that will be sustainable to the rest of the whole, something that won't tear down the rest of the ecosphere, that won't tear down that won't break the threads of life that hold us all together on planet Earth, because we are not just human beings. We are not just the morphogenetic field of humanity. We are the morphogenetic field of the whole biosphere. And we're interdependent on one another. We're dependent on the plants around us, and the plants are dependent on the animals around us. You know, we're all interdependent on all of us. We're dependent on the animals too. I mean, we're all in this together. We're all in this together, and it is my prayerful intention to help us get off of fossil fuel and do it without bringing the culprits to the guillotine. We don't need another moment like that. I mean, I can understand why we did that back in, what would that have been? 1790 something? We sent all of the culprits, the ones who had it all, and were keeping it from all of the people, and everyone was clinging to the matter in a particular way, not allowing it to evolve or expand, not recognizing the oneness that the oneness that we are all engaged in. And we all got pissed and took the aristocrats to the guillotine. Well, we don't need to do that. We don't want to do that. We don't need to do that. What we need to do is we need to inject some energy into the system. And with the extra energy, people are going to be able to do the things they need to do to survive. So what do you need to survive? There's a list of 7 things, and if you have access to all 7 of these things, you will continue, and you will continue to continue. Air, and this is in the order that you will die if you do not get them. Air, water, sleep, food, shelter, relationship, and expression. So you need all those things. What is the power going to get you? It's going to get you your ability to control your climate. It's going to get you your ability to ambulate your person around. It's going to get you your ability to tap into the internet. It's going to, what else will power get you that you need? Cook your food. Cook your food, control your climate, ambulate your person, and connect to the internet. Not only that, it's going to give you the capability, give us all the capability, and we can do this collectively. Every single person does not have to fulfill every single role. Now, some people in some situations will be fulfilling more roles, but in other situations, you'll have community kitchens where there's a large centralized area and we do all the cooking. And all of the produce and all of the creatures, go into the big pot in the center. And this happens a lot in Asia. Why there's a lot of neighborhoods in Asia where it's not common for every individual to have their own stove, their own oven, where they're cooking their own food and their own, drawing electricity to their own. Instead, it's organizing so that there's like centralized kitchen areas. And centralized kitchens are actually a good idea for us collectively. Not everybody wants to or needs to do all the cooking. But we all need to get into alignment with all of this, with this oneness that we all are. Find your place in it. What do you want to do in the machine? The machine that is humanity, that is the superorganism. And you should think of it in ways how it would harmoniously integrate with the rest of the field without harming and contribute to it. Because it's a win-win across the board. It's not just a win-win for human beings. It can be a win-win for the whole biofield if we would understand our place correctly. The Bible has humanity gardening planet Earth. How about we do that? Because we're really good gardeners. But we need to be a little less... we need to have less hubris about it. I wish there was a noun. No, an adjective. We need to be a little less blank about it. Arrogant? I guess that's a good word. We need to be less arrogant about it, more humble, more recognizing of the power and the forces and the life and the beauty and the love and the connectedness of the scene around us. That's what we need to do. Who am I? Who am I? What is source energy and what is the mathematics of it? Because that is going to lead us to all the technology of the 21st and 22nd centuries. And what am I talking about? Things like this. This isn't the only paper, but this was a paper put out by Nassim and his team. I don't know if you'd call them his team. They're listed second. Cyprian, I'm so sorry, Mr. Guillermo Prez. I have no idea how to pronounce your name. Hermon Prey. Cyprian. I have no idea. Olivier Allarol. That's probably butchered too. I usually don't say their name because I'm sure I'm saying them wrong. And I don't know whether they would prefer that I just point at the way they're spelled and not try to say their name, or whether I try to give them respect and try to say their names. But anyway, this paper was published back in September, and it's on the origin of mass and nature of gravity. This is where matter comes from and how gravity actually works. Gravity is not the weakest force. Gravity is the strongest force. What it actually is, think of it as gravity is not the force caused by mass. What gravity is the force caused by spin. Spin. When these Plancks, because of a significant gradient density in the field, have been thrown into they organize into matter, they're spinning. Look at this. This slide right here shows it. It shows as that Planck oscillator goes from just kind of being a random oscillator to going into coherence, becoming matter, it's spinning. Spin is baked into the cake. You don't have mass without spin. Mass is an expression of that little vortex of ether spinning. That's what it is. That's everything you see is only that. That is source energy. It is spin. It is original spin. And the way I conceive who you are in your two selves, which will go up to the two selves, how I conceive of us as in all of this. I'm glad I didn't go very far. I went for a minute talking while I was still paused. That is so discouraging. I did it the other day. I talked for about 30 minutes, and then I looked down and realized that I had only recorded 2.5 minutes. I'd paused it almost a half an hour ago and didn't realize it. I gave up and did not post that day. It was like, oh, well, as a matter of fact, I said a prayer about being so grateful, because I did a really good job too. I kicked ass. It was so good. It was so good. And then I looked down and I saw that I had not recorded. And I could have gotten really sad. Oh my God, that was the best thing I've ever done. And I did not record it. And instead of saying that, I said a prayer of gratitude for how grateful I was that I was able to do it that well. And I knew that if I just held on, kept held my ground and kept my footing and kept going forward, that I would get a recording at some point that was everything I wanted to say to everyone about who we are and how to fix our frickin' problems. You know, we are all pieces to this blessed jigsaw puzzle. We all fit into it So who am I? I know I got really excited for a second as I could see the two spinning discs that you are. You are two spinning discs, and Abraham would call them two spinning discs of attraction, as she talks about the law of attraction and how the momentum of these spins are picking up cooperative components to their desires all around. Now, this source one is doing it consistently, constantly, without resistance, without that is the world of reality around you that is evolving. That it's how ecosystems evolve, it's how worlds evolve, it's how you evolve, it's how life goes, it's Darwinian evolutionary processes, it's all of that. But it's being driven by an inner being who vibrationally is in touch with the allness of it, recognizes what everyone wants, and is aiming always for the win-win position, the win-winningest win-win position possible. And when you start aiming the same way, instead of seeing the paradigm as one of competition and lack and dog eat dog and kill or be killed and all that kind of nonsense, that's screwing up the field, people. That's not in harmony with who we really are and what is really going to get our people to sustainability. So that's all I have to say about it. Is that all I have to say about it today? I don't know. I'll come back, like I said, like I've been telling everyone, today is our 24th wedding anniversary. We were we were married on this day in 2000. And we're going to go down to Isleta and watch the Gypsy Kings and spend the night and have dinner. And so I'm not going to do the show tomorrow morning. And then Monday morning, I'll be back out on the golf course with my husband very, very, very early. So I'm not going to do a show on Monday either. You will not see me back in the studio until Tuesday morning, when I don't see any reason why I can't do a show then. I might have a special edition because I might be talking to my daughter on Monday, and if she's willing, if we aren't just doing admin and personal stuff where we say too many details about individuals in our lives, and I don't want to post that up on the internet, especially with names and stuff. If we're talking personal stuff, then I won't post it. Otherwise, sometimes we can get into a really good conversation that I like to post as special editions. And so maybe something like that might happen Monday. Otherwise, you won't see me again until Tuesday. Although I do have many, 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 many past episodes that I've done. I've been doing them for a while now, so if you go back and listen to me at the beginning, I'm sure I sound a little more rigid, a little more by rote. I could see these concepts in my head, but I didn't know how to flow between them. How to talk about, who we are and where we're going and what we really are after. Right now, we are after sustainability. We want to make it to the next century. We do not want not just sustainability, but we also don't want to keep creating an apocalyptic hellscape. This paradigm of abundance that we have been born into is certainly capable of granting us way better than that. If we would but understand it and dance in harmony with it, instead of being in conflict with it. And that includes being in conflict with each other. Being in a harmonious balance with humanity is going to, when we hit that one, we're going to be able to hit the other one. It's the us and them paradigm, people. There is no us and them. It's all us. It's all you. And you have Individually, you have the, you know what, I got to get off this screen. I find it, I like to show it initially, but then I blank it out and I leave people stuck there. Let's go back to my first. Just resting here in this one. I keep threatening sometime to do a bit on divine autonomy, because what divine autonomy has to do with claiming your power and control over the only thing you have power and control over, which is your individuated spin. That small spin aspect of you. That's what you have control over. And quite frankly, it's all you need to have control over. You thought you had to control the outside world, that you had to be in control of the conditions outside of you. Especially now that you realize, oh, we're all one world, and look at those things happening on the other side of the world. I've got to control that. Well, ultimately, a harmonious biosphere, the physicality of the world, is the target. The condition is the target. But you have to understand that the condition is secondary. The vibration of it is primary. The feeling of it is primary. The spirit of it is primary. And so you've got to understand what that means to you. Pledge allegiance to the spirit, not the condition. And if you do so, the spirits will start to shift the materiality around you, and that kinder spirit will imbue the materiality around you, and then it will change. You'll get what you want. You just have to, believe that the vibration of it is more important than the exact shape of it. What care you what shape is the world, as long as it is made of joy and abundance and love and connection? What does it matter? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Quit killing the biosphere. And the biggest thing that we do that kills the biosphere, well, the way we organize our first world infrastructure too, because of the way our vehicles must be on pavement, then we have to slather the earth in concrete and asphalt so that we can make parking lots out of the paradises, so that we, but if our vehicles were defied gravity, we could tether them to the tree, and fly them around in the sky, and you don't have to have that kind of infrastructure. So you don't have to tear down the ecosystem in order to build the neighborhood. Do you see how this is going to change everything? How about we don't burn fossil fuel anymore, and everyone is connected to their source? Look at this fairy house right here. Say if you could just light the house from within and none of it was wired to anything, you could freaking live in the middle of a tree. In the middle of a forest. Why not? You can control your climate. You can cook your food. You can travel around. You don't have to build roads. You don't have to string wires. That's the future. Do you know what the problem is right now, if everybody knew that? There's a whole lot of people who would almost instantaneously, have no work. And the way we've got ourselves organized right now, if you don't have work, you don't eat. Your children don't eat, and all of you are kicked out of your house and under the bridge. You're living under the bridge, out of a shopping cart. But see, we need to change that. We need to change that. We need to start with there needs to be a universal minimum wage. Every single person needs to have access to a minimum amount that will get them survival in this world. Now, a lot of people say, well, then the fire will be gone. You won't have that, Everybody will just be lazy. They'll just sit around. They'll have sex. They'll do drugs. They'll watch videos. They'll, smoke pot. Whatever. Well, some people will. Not everybody will. I think all of this needs to come with an intensive training session where people are shown who we are in our diversity, who we are moving through history, what all the wars were about. The world wars are a significant common event that we can all point to, showing, from our country's perspective, how we participated in that collective event. I think that the world wars were an expression of minimal media connection. So we had some connection globally, a little bit of newspapers and radio, and then all of us getting together and agreeing on an us and them paradigm and acting from our negative self. Collectively. That's what I think the world wars were. And that's why I don't think they're going to happen again. Because I don't think you're going to get all of the people of the world agreeing who the enemy is, looking all in the same direction, and being mad about the same thing at the same time in a negative way, and then agreeing to act on it. I just don't think it's going to happen again. There's going to be skirmishes, little puffs of war and chaos here and there, some of them quite large in Gaza and Ukraine, but they aren't going to be world wars, and at some point it is all going to cease because we're going to figure out, this is how we all get to tomorrow, and this is how we all get to a world that is thriving, pulsing with abundance. I would like to see on the news, periodically people coming on the news and saying a new species has cropped up and we've documented it over here in this ecosystem that we have been regrowing, in kinder and more beautiful, beneficent ways. We can help co-create the future Eden of the world. It's going to be breathtaking. We're going to have so much fun visiting one another and seeing what one another is doing with their houses and their, you can think of nations as being personalities as opposed to thinking of them as being military might or whatever. We will continue to have nationalities. There will still be collective. It's like a nation is like a morphogenetic field of almost ethnic information. It's not necessarily ethnic because America is a creed. It's not a blood and soil thing. It's more of a belief in an idea. All men are created equal, and you can get all balled up in how well or not well we have fulfilled that promise. But anyway, this is all going to be for another day because I see we're coming up on 2 hours, and I never like to go past 2 hours. I don't want to get carried away with myself until the day I do the marathon, where I just riff and bring up every pet idea I've ever had and put it all in one seminar and put it out on the internet. Who am I? Who am I? Who are we? We are wonderful. We are capable. We are the quantum field. We can be, do, or have anything we want. We just need to get clear about what we want. And we need to get clear about the laws of the universe and how they actually work. There is no assertion. It is all attraction. And you are orchestrating your own journey. So don't worry about the rest of it in a way. I mean, I have to worry about my own journey. I can't just worry about this allness that we all are. I have had to figure out how I can express, what I can contribute, what I'm good at, what I want to do with my time, with my mind, with my spirit. And we all have to do that. And so I'm going to go off and do some more of that over the next 48, is it going to be 48 hours before you see me? No, it's going to be 72 hours before you see me again. Tuesday morning, and it's Saturday. So that's Sunday, Monday, that's 72 hours. I'll post another one. And until then, as always, you are blessed, you are loved, you are connected, you are matrixed in to all things. You are doing just fine. Relax. We're all in the hands of the Almighty. It's all going to be just fine. The resistance is the problem. Resistance is futile, as they say, because there's nothing really to resist. It's all you. It's all you. It's one big mirror. We'll talk about that more too. And until next time, so looking forward to it. Hopefully I'll have a birdie that I can report back. I haven't had a birdie in a few weeks. Until then, you know what I'm going to say next. May the source be with you.